is Dr. Dylan Peckus here to give you some breaking news that may not be so breaking, but nonetheless, we're going to talk about it in terms of CPAP and cancer here. All right. And obviously, the reason you know is because obviously that's the big stinking deal, right? You're doing something you feel or been told that is good for your health. And then it's like, hey, smack that. Well, I guess what this increased the risk for. And also understanding a lot of the undertones of what we're going to talk about in terms of how you're looking at medical devices and being able to hedge your bets against long-term risk. Okay. So that's why I want to dive into this episode right here. Okay. So basically just right to it here. This is a uh, September 2023 from the New York Times here. CPAP maker, I believe it's Philips. Okay, $479 million settlement on CPAP. Okay, because of blowing bits of foam into consumers' mouth and lungs. Now, even if you don't have a device from Philips, okay, or you were not infected by this, we still need to talk about this because of what this means. Okay. And then, more recently, I have it here. Yes, this is a snippet from the USA Today. Got that. I guess it was updated on February 7th. But they're actually stopping the sales of these machines over all the ongoing cancer concerns over the last 3 years here. Okay. You have to ask yourself, like, if this is something being brought up now, okay, 3 years later, okay, what else? What else do we need to talk about with this? Because, yes, you may be directly impacted by that, and you may know that, or, hopefully you've gotten some sort of warranty or warning from somebody about the matter. But the fact of the matter is, there's a lot more links to CPAP and cancer that even that leads on to belief here. And that's why I want to be able to have, a nice, open, honest conversation about that with you. Because, again, like, if you're just, like, getting set up or, like, put into these boxes with, like, here's your treatment, but it's causing unknown or other sorts of damages to your body, then what are we doing here? Because when we actually look at, let me just pull this up again here. When we actually look at, this is a 2017 paper out of JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. Okay, PAP, or really any PAP therapy, CPAP, BiPAP, APAP, was not associated with reduced risk of cardiovascular outcomes or death for patients with sleep apnea. Okay? Is that not the opposite of what I was told and what you were told about this device? So, there's something missing, don't you think? And when we even look more here, okay, this is a 2014 study, you actually find increased inflammatory markers in people who use CPAP, okay, after CPAP use, okay? Or even upper airway stimulation, like Inspire. That's what UAS stands for there. So why is that? Okay, because when we think back to like how our bodies should function, right? Everything is designed to happen for a reason, even if we don't fully understand. And sleep is meant to be this natural time of recovery, okay? Just basically sleep equal repair. But there should be an asterisk here. What should that be? It's natural sleep. Well, let me write that above it. Natural sleep equals repair. Because when we're talking about things like cancer, mortality, and we'll keep it on cancer for today, essentially, cancer happens at a fundamental level, because of a lack of cell repair and regulation. Cancer is essentially this just disappearing. Both of these are directly tied to your body's ability to have a natural, good quality sleep. Your body literally repairs itself from damage at night, right? And then also this regulation part, okay? Because cancer will happen when the cell cycle, when it goes through different phases of being able to like sort of divide and make new resources and all this good stuff, that is connected to your sleep-wake cycle, okay? But if you're not sleeping, you don't have a very good sleep-wake cycle, you're going to have issues in the regulation of your cell cycles. And when you have that, that also explains why people with cancer, you will pretty much always see a breakdown in cell regulation. But then people with sleep apnea, is that why you see a higher cancer prevalence and a higher cancer mortality? Yes. Yes, it is. Because when you don't have good, proper sleep, then that's the result. And the reason you won't have good, proper sleep from a CPAP, they are multifold. Okay? So one, we already talked about inflammation going up here. I'm just going to move this down for myself. Inflammation will be elevated. Right, inflame. Why is that? Okay? Oxidative stress, like that article said. Okay? What do you need for oxidative stress? You need oxygen, right? That's what you need, my friend. What does a CPAP give you a lot of, or CPAP, APAP, or a BiPAP? It gives you a lot of oxygen. That's going to lead to oxidative stress. Okay? So even if you may be getting sleep, right? It's not the properly oxygenated one, okay? In many ways, it's over-oxygenation in many compartments of your body, and that's what leads to free radical damage and inflammation. Okay? The other thing that's really important of good natural sleep is being able to have a normal amount of carbon dioxide, CO2. Because carbon dioxide, yes, it's a waste product, but also it's a signaling molecule that helps regulate your cells. Oh, do you see where we're going with this? It helps the cell cycle. And when CO2 is chronically low, like it would be with a CPAP or BiPAP or APAP, guess what? Then you don't have something to help regulate your cells. What is that associated with? Cancer again, okay? Other aspect of a CPAP here. This is another thing. People aren't talking about this now. But again, when something like this is brought out, and like now it's news, but it was really like 3 years ago. Okay, really, I mean, really, this is breaking news when I guess it was a lawsuit. Yeah, that's probably how you end up with a settlement. I don't know. My law degree is from looking at a lot of. I don't have a law degree, but my law experience is looking at the billboards on a highway. But the other thing here, well, plastic, really, microplastic. Oop, microplastic. Remember this whole thing about like BPA going on here? That's just from drinking water in those bottles, right? What about breathing out of a plastic tube for 48 hours a night? Or basically like 1/6 to 1/3 of a part of your day. I think that might have some sort of effect. Because microplastics, when they get into your cells, very difficult to get out. And whenever you put something that then damages your cells, then it leads to more inflammation. And guess what inflammation then interrupts? Cell cycle and regulation. Okay? So this is why when we're looking at like the crutches we use to try to get through the day like a CPAP, again, it's that setting ourselves up for like short-term fix, but long-term fragility, or being able to take steps and actions to get towards a place of resiliency. Okay? That's really what the CPAP conversation is all about here. Okay? Because I'm not saying stop your CPAP. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you want to consider, what does this thing mean for you long term? Because as evidence suggests with the study I showed you, it's not going to stop you from dying younger. Okay? That's really the big issue here. But also, when you're using a Band-Aid, the underlying issue is still propagating throughout the cycle here. Cycle of your days and cycle of bad sleep, and then, leaving you pushing through another fraction of who you can be. So that when it's like time for work and you just hit that wall of like not getting things done, or you don't have the motivation and you're just hitting the walls or limitation, that points to deeper issues underneath here in your health that really is in your cells here. Because again, when we look at sleep apnea, it is a metabolic disease in disguise. Okay? So we go way back, really look at this. Done some videos on that. It is a dysfunction in breathing driven by inflammation at the core. Okay? If we go below that, because inflammation is just one level there, what drives that inflammation are bad mitochondria, which I'm told are trendy now, which is odd because they've been around for 2.3 billion years, but overnight sensation, apparently. When these are faulty, because mitochondria are also linked to cancer, okay? Because at the end of the day, your mitochondria are what give your body energy to function properly and to regulate itself, because not only does the mitochondria produce energy, but it produces all sorts of little different other molecules and stuff that allow your body to regulate itself, okay? So it's those molecules and the energy come together, allow your cells to properly regulate, all right? So if you have sleep apnea, you have a mitochondrial issue, okay? And if you continue just to use a CPAP just to get through and then go through life at 60, 70%, we're like, yeah, you're getting through the day, you're doing what's needed, perhaps, or even struggling with that. But those things that really make life fulfilling, that make life something where you wake up in the morning, you're excited, whether it's spending time with people, being engaged in a hobby or passion of yours. When you can't have that, that means you're just getting through, and that means your body and its cells and your mitochondria, they're just getting through. They're struggling. They're not thriving. Because anytime you need a crutch, that's not thriving. That's just getting through. And when your mitochondria just get through, you're going to have all this cellular dysfunction. Okay? Because again, the Band-Aid just covers up the bigger issue inside of your mitochondria here. All right? So, when we're thinking about mitochondria, there's a lot of different things that lead to this falling apart here. Okay? Draw some arrows for us. So, environment's going to be really high on the list. We'll touch on each of these a little bit. What letter did I try to draw there? Stress. Nutrition. And also your rhythm, okay? Or your sleep-wake cycle. I'll just put sleep-wake cycle. All right. A little easier. Kind of wrap our minds around. And when you're considering when you have this issue, you got to really look at these factors, which might be the biggest one for you. Because when we're talking about environment, I talk about say with being in an environment of chronically low carbon dioxide because of a CPAP, or in an environment of breathing in microplastics, that's an environmental issue. That's gonna hurt your mitochondria. Okay, or missing nutrients, right? Or having a bad sleep-wake cycle, or having stress here. Okay, maybe stress from watching this video, me breaking this news to you. Okay, very real stressor. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, the more you sort of focus on your mitochondria, the better you're going to do long term here. Okay, because that's really where the core is at here. Okay, so let's say you're on a CPAP and you watch this because you're like, oh, I need to know about this. What can you do to start to create some safety security in your body? Okay, and it's going to depend on you, but in terms of being able to really help set yourself up for the best sleep possible. That's going to be the primary importance here, having really good sleep quality, even if you're using a CPAP right now. Because I don't want to, again, I don't want to cause a lot of turbulence, but I do want to be able to help you have deeper quality sleep here. Okay? So, how do we do that? So the name of the game here, okay, is increasing melatonin at night naturally, okay? I think I made a bunch of videos about why you shouldn't supplement with it, so you can refer to one of those. But the more you can increase melatonin, the better your mitochondria will do. And also, melatonin is one of the #1 antioxidants your body makes, which will then lower inflammation, which will then help your cells better regulate. That's a pretty win-win here. Now, the #1 way that modern humans kill their melatonin levels at night is going to be from artificial light exposure at night, or Alan, okay? Or if your name's Alan, that will also lead to this. So if your name's Alan, please proceed to change your name, and that should improve your sleep. That actually won't. But so the more you're able to reduce this about, I would say, 2 hours before bed, the better you're going to be able to do. Now, I want you to think, like, what are your main culprits with this? Or what are your main struggles that you have with using light at night? Okay? Because I also know this is how a lot of people find us in the first place. Okay? Guys, I mean, you may not want to hear this, but I'm going to have to hit it with you. Social media, all right? Which ironically, you're probably watching this on this, and I'm talking about cancer and social media being bad for you. This video just may not exist after like 4 hours of being available. So what you need to consider here is, what are your light habits? This is one of the, the big culprit ones, okay? Because even if you're wearing like blue blockers and have a blue screen, even using a screen at night, okay, it's still going to cause big issues with artificial light exposure at night here, okay? And it's not just thinking about getting rid of this, because just what are you gonna do? Just sit there, right? So think of alternatives. Okay, what could be some alternatives? You can still use your phone for this, of course. So instead of social media, okay, it could be like an audiobook, right? Or say a podcast you could listen to. Maybe even the Sleep Apnea Solution podcast, now available on Spotify. Sorry, I just like to be funny, or try to be funny at times. You have these two options here. So like, I mean, these are things you can start doing tonight. So just pick one and like really do it tonight here, okay? Just reading a book, okay? A real book, okay? Like on paper, okay? And yes, I know, have an ebook. I'm working on getting it printed. Takes a little bit longer than you think it would. But being able to have something that doesn't have a screen, again, here, okay? And these are going to be some of the biggest things. Or even like journaling, because like reflecting in the evening is one of the most powerful things you can do, because it also is a process of like letting go and processing things from the day, so your mind's more clear at night. These are all things you can easily do 1-2 hours before bed, okay? Even like 3 hours, okay? Let's just go for 2. Sorry to go for the gold there. But nonetheless, like, the more you're able to do this, because the idea is, like, you're able to really have your head hit the pillow, whether you're on a CPAP or not, and have a deep quality of sleep where, like, you're maybe only waking up once a night, or like really waking up and like feeling refreshed and being able to like really hit the ground running within like 15 minutes of waking up. Okay, so again, like really the goal is here: fall asleep less than 20 minutes, wake up 1 or fewer times a night. Okay, maybe 2, but really 1 or less, and then be able to hit the ground running 15 minutes in terms of waking up here. Okay, and this is just gonna be one step to get there here, and it's just a decision tonight, like which one are you gonna do? Because the more you try things out, because even if right now you're like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to stick to that, I don't have any good audiobooks, the more you stay stuck in like why things won't work, you'll be right. They won't work. So be willing to make a mistake and make a decision and actually learn from it, so then you get into a habit of making decisions and learning from those. Because the more we spend time just like, working things out in our mind, we actually aren't doing anything in reality. The biggest lessons come from taking one step at a time. You can be able to monitor that success and also build yourself up as someone who's making those decisions for your health on a daily basis, because that's what gets you all the way through this, where you're not having to be, strapped to some sort of crutch or band-aid that pretty much limits your life. And as you build that muscle, that's how you're able to really get to your best self. Okay? Because as you're, taking these steps, not only what you do, it's who you become in this process. Okay? Becoming someone who's not reliant on machines that, whether it's now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like learning more crazy things about it where we wish we never had to deal with those complexities. Because you can absolutely get back to a place where you're sleeping easily at night, independent of any sort of device. Okay? It is possible, but only if you take like the next step, like with what we talked about here. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is, you have everything you need in your body to be able to sleep easily through the night right now. Okay? 'Cause, like, that's literally what we just talked about. Talked about taking things out of the way so that your body can function just like it can naturally, where you're sleeping, waking up feeling more fresh, and having a better life. Okay? So that's what's available for you there. And then, of course, if you want to be able to learn a little bit more here, we have lots of fun stuff available for you here. So that could be the sleep apnea freedom series here. All right. Where, lots of different episodes in here. None of them really call out to me right now as related to this, but hey, it's available. That is ochnow.com/SA freedom. Okay. All lowercase. And of course, you're someone who wants to be able to get to your best as efficiently, hassle-free as possible, then go ahead, book a free one-on-one evaluation call. All right, that's ochnow.com/talk. Type that down. Well, type it down. It says type it down. Write it down or type it up. Either way, go to this link, and then it'll take you to this page, fill out a form, and it's pretty much easy from there. Just pick a day and time, and we'll talk then. All right, so thank you for joining me. Hope you learned something. You got some action steps. Have a good one.